problems do kids go through at home, for example?
Schoolwork, chores, coming home to
Like some kids
homework,
have,
and washing dishes,
they'll go
folding
home and they
clothes.
won't have anything, and they'll like some kids, their parents abuse them, and like they won't have no clothes, no food, and they won't have like stuff, they won't be supplied with stuff they need.
Okay. And based on what you've been able to see, what can kidsmatter2.org do in a situation like that?
Like, they can like reach out and like, it's like, it helps them. They can go to that for help.
Okay.
It comforts them because they know that somebody wants to help them and that like they're not alone. Like somebody is there for you.
Okay.
It provides resources in case like they're having issues in their homes,
Okay.
stuff.
Like the issues you were just talking about. And so you do understand that Kids Matter too, again, is a resource. And so, but you do understand also that there's a live person always on the other line. As a matter of fact, and what normally happens when we're doing this, somebody will type in something, like you saw the place where you could write what the issue is. And sometimes, you know, I've been at a school presenting the information and have the person to type some stuff in, and Lamar rings my phone. We have a concern, okay? And so, sir, from where you sit, as the Rapides Parish District Attorney for Rapides Parish, what are some of your concerns where kids are involved?
You know, Chauncey, right now, there are a lot of families who are single parent families, and even when folks, married folks are able to stay together, everybody has to, both parents have to work to make ends meet now. And so there are a lot of young people who are home by themselves, left alone, and I know that makes them lonely. I know that that there are a lot of, everybody has a different set of problems, and I hope y'all heard me say that years ago, my dad told me when I was about your age that the most important thing for me to do until I got in my 20s was to stay alive and stay out of jail, because everything kind of evens itself out when you get grown. There are a lot of things that go on in people's lives that are hard to deal with. And the good thing about this program is it lets young people know that there's somebody who cares about them. And I want y'all to all know and tell everybody that you know that you can get in touch with somebody in my office to help you. You can get in touch with me, right? Because our concerns are that, you know, and part of our job is to show you the bad things that can happen. And that's what that video is about. And I could have talked to y'all all day long about the bad things that can happen to people when they make wrong decisions. But that kind of showed you pretty well. And those things can happen to anybody. So every crossroads that you come to in your life is a decision. And you have to decide which way to go. You got to decide the people to hang around with. You have to decide how you handle a bad, stressful situation, whether it's a situation with your parents. One of your parents may have a drug or an alcohol problem. That doesn't make them bad people. That's the reason I told you that I'd been through a problem with alcohol, all right? The statistics, scientific studies show that over 20% of people in the world have addictive personalities. It's probably more than that, which means that if a person with an addictive personality tries drugs or alcohol or gambling or pornography or any of those things that are risky behaviors, that it can lead to them becoming addicted to it. If they become addicted to it, they become a slave to it. If you become a slave to that, then you get in a position where you don't care about anything else. It doesn't, if your parents or you or your brother or your sister or anybody has that problem, doesn't mean they don't love you. And if you have that problem, it doesn't mean that you're not a good person. It means that you have an illness, right? And if I could say anything to y'all, any one thing, it would be that if you have that situation, if you personally have it, It's nothing to be ashamed of. I hope y'all heard me say it's not a character defect. It's not a question of honesty. It's not a question of whether or not you're a good person. It means you simply have a disease like if you had diabetes. There are ways to treat it. If your parents have that, your brother or sister have that, there's ways to treat it. And there are people out there who want to give you help. And I'm telling y'all that I'm available, my office is available at any time for that, because we believe, Chauncey and I believe, that rather than just be reactive when you have a problem and putting people in jail, I don't want to do that. What I want to happen is everybody that we can get them help for their problem before they get there. And when I say that, I want you to know that that doesn't make me any better than anybody else. It just makes me the person with the job. And that's another reason that I told you about my personal situation before, okay? Because it is simply a job. But also I view part of my job, as Chauncey knows, does his job, is if we can educate people about the dangers of those things, about drinking and driving like we saw in the film, if we can educate people about what happens to your body if you drink or take drugs, what happens to your mind, what happens to your brain. That's what I'm trying to, that's what I would love to see. Okay.
And Scott Morrow from the St. Police was here, and he shows what happens to your body when you drink and drive, but it's from an automobile crash or, that type of thing. But then there's that physical part of it that doesn't involve anything else other than alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs. And so here is the thing. You're from what parish?
From Walls Parish.
You're from what parish?
That's Grant Parish, boy.
You're from what parish?
Concordia.
You're from what parish?
Grant.
Okay. And so here is the thing. When we were talking just a little while ago, when you raised the issue about some of the things that young people go through, you guys were chiming in, all of you were chiming in, which leads me to believe on the surface that in Evolves and Grant and Concordia Parish, you guys face a lot of some of the same things. In other words, it doesn't really matter where you live. Young people go through things in common, right? And so, here is the thing about it, and I had this conversation with someone just a little while ago. The first time I heard a young person mention stress to me was about 25 years ago, and I dismissed it. Stress? No, let me tell you what stress is. You have a family, and you have a job, and you have a mortgage, and you have a car note. That's stress. You don't know stress. 25 years later, I beg to differ. You do know stress. You know stress like I have no idea. There was something you shared with us once before that, just things that cause you stress. And, I guess up close and personal, I want to validate your stress. Kids matter too. In addition to, the information and the reporting site, the resource, as you mentioned, will give you a place where you can go and it's like, this is what we're doing, this is what we're facing, where can I get help? And here is the thing, if you say that, and of course all of you are above the age where you can be left alone. How old are you?
14.
You're 14. What is the age? Is it 12 or 15 or there? But just okay. But the thing about it is that, you're not 4 or 5 years old and, what have you. But the thing about it is that even when you're going through things, and you don't know what the answers are, or maybe you don't even know what the questions are, sometimes you could just make a statement, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm experiencing. Go to kidsmatter2.org, and, here is your job, here is your homework. And when I say homework, I mean when you go back to Montgomery, when you go back to
Current.
let your school know, let your peers know that this is available. See this gentleman right here? You let Charlie Riddle know. And I have already, who's the DA in Grant.
Jalen Moy.
Let those guys know. And, actually, Phillip gave me a message to deliver to Charlie Riddle in Evolves Parish, that he's on board with Kids Matter too. And people at your school will not know about it, may not know about it. Your superintendent is on board. In fact, you may have seen her picture on there as well. Your superintendent is on board. I've not had a conversation with your superintendent. And so right now, what it comes down to is that you guys can market this. You can market it. And so go back and, send it out, kidsmatter2.org. And folks can just go on and look at the website like you had an opportunity to do. And, we need to put the word out there. It's all about saving lives of people. It's all about saving lives. I was saying again a little while ago, I don't like going to a school after there's been a suicide and trying to help kids cope. I don't like doing that. It's a part of what I do. I don't like sitting there on the child death review panel and seeing, children between the ages of 0 and 15 who are deceased. I don't like doing that. I don't want to have to do that. I'd rather have this conversation with you and put it out there.
While we're alive.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because after the fact, I can't do you any good. I want to do you some good now.
No matter what happens today, the sun always comes up tomorrow.
It does.
And also, no matter how bad it looks to you, there's somebody out there who can help you. And no matter how bad you think you got it, somebody else has got it worse. And one of the things that always helps me is to count my blessings, to think about how fortunate I am, how much God has blessed me, and how much He's given me. Because we do live, this sounds silly, but if you think about it, we live in a pretty good country.
Yeah.
We live in a good state. Up in other places, y'all think about this, in other places, like in St. Louis, black folks and white folks are not sitting down talking like we are.
Yeah.
Where we are right here, that doesn't matter. That's my friend,
Absolutely.
right? We live in a good place. Now, we got our problems, but we're working on them, right? Okay. Everybody has problems in their life, and everybody feels like their problems at some point are insurmountable. They don't feel like they can cope with them. Okay. I'm a big, strong guy, and I've got a powerful position, but I'm not any different from anybody else. Okay, some days I don't feel like I can go home. Some days I feel like I sure would like to have a drink. Okay, but I have an illness that I can't do that. I can't drink alcohol. That was a crutch for me. That is my weakness. Everybody has one. Okay. That doesn't keep you from being successful.
Right.
And what does success mean? It's
Reaching
peace,
your goals.
peace and happiness.
That's right.
Doesn't mean money, doesn't mean power. It means peace of mind and happiness. Everybody got to find their own way. Mine's God, but that's mine. Everybody got to find their own way.
Dr. Tanner, Nell Tanner was saying this morning, that one of the three pillars of sorts that she gave is that we ought to have something or somebody we can bow down to, however we refer to him or her, but somebody bigger than us who directs us and who leads us and who guides us. And so it's important that everybody has that where they can look and and go to for. Yeah.
And sometimes I was the only child, and my dad, I told y'all my dad was a policeman. He was a war hero. He was a big, strong man, and everything was, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this right now, you got to hurry, you got to do this. And he meant well, and he died last year, and I love him and I miss him. But you don't have to do everything right now. Most important thing is peace of mind and doing the right thing. Because if you do the right thing, you don't ever have to look over your shoulder. Because no matter, every bad guy, I've been a lawyer for almost 35 years. And I was a prosecutor, and I was a judge for 18. I was a prosecutor for 10 before that, before I got elected DA. And almost every bad guy that I've ever come across has got a conscience. And they know right from wrong. And the problem with doing wrong is it eats you up. It eats you up because you know right from wrong and it bothers your conscience.
I was just, like I hear people say all the time that like rap music, hip hop music, like can influence us to do bad and all that. But like I listen to old rap music, like Tupac and all that. Like he
That's the all rap music. What about the Sugar Hill Gang?
well, like
Who let the dogs
Curtis
out?
Blow. That's old. Curtis Blow is old rap music. Tupac is, yeah, but I'm sorry. Go ahead anyway.
even though he's dead and gone, but I mean, he helps me like with stuff that I go through daily. Like on his songs, like when he quoted, "For every dark night, there's a brighter day."
Right.
That's like it helps.
Yeah. And the thing about it is being able to find the good and the positive in what you do. And I believe that there is some validity to what's referred to as the social learning theory, that you learn from those you socialize with, you know. And so, you know, does rap music make bad people? No, it does not. It can influence, but it doesn't make bad people. And you know, as far as I can understand, good people will find good and bad people will find bad. That's it.
No, it's not what happens to you that makes you, it's what you do about what happens to you.
Have you guys already heard that today? If you were
And it's
listening,
not
you've heard
about-
that. That's right.
It's not about what goes in here, it's what's in there that's important.
That's right.
And you could take pieces out of the Bible, you could take it out of context and decide that it was okay to go kill people, right?
That's right. That's right.
Because there are places in there where God tells people to go, tells the Jews in the Old Testament to go kill people.
That's right.
Go conquer cities and kill everybody, including their children. That's what the Bible says. You can, the bottom line is you already know right from wrong, right? And you know and sometimes, I believe most of the time, it may not seem easier to do the right thing. It may seem easier to do the shortcut, but you always got to be looking over your shoulder. So I believe it's generally easier to do the right thing. That doesn't make it where we think it's the easiest thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so here is the thing. I read something some time ago that said every successful person, every successful person, however success is determined, has one thing in common, and that is somebody who cares about them. And so watch this. If nobody's ever told you that they care about you, that they want to see you make it, that they are interested in your success, I'm telling you, I am. He is. We are.
I agree with that, but also like sometimes like you want like it helps to have people that encourage you, but also those people, because I've experienced, and you also have those people that try to like say, oh, you're not going to be able to do this, and you have that strive to prove them wrong.
Right.
Fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
Locus of control. Who's controlling you? Who are you listening to? You understand?
I don't like it when people like down other people, because like when people like say stuff like that, like I don't listen to it because they're like, they have nothing else better to do than sit there and talk.
Locus of control. Who's controlling you? Are you controlling you, or is somebody else? And let me say something to you also, that, you know, we have people we call significant others. And as we grow and develop, they change, you know, because when we're teenagers, like your ages, sometimes your peers are more important to you than your parents. In the sense that, you know, when your parents, you ask your parent to do something and they say, no, you can't do that, then you sometimes say, but so-and-so is doing it, right? And so, right? Did I go down your street? Is that what just happened? Did I go down where you live or something? And so it happens like that. And so, you know, the whole idea is, whose control are you under? You know, and the thing about it, and we're going to talk about this some more, about your dreams and your goals and your aspirations, and how things can get in the way of where you're trying to go. But then, you know, also that if you resist those things, and how you can go around them, and ultimately how things will work out for you.
And the point that you brought up is very important, because number one, nobody can prevent you from becoming whatever success you want to be. A lot of people speak negatively to you because they're jealous, or maybe they do it because they're afraid you'll get hurt if you try something. Sometimes people who care about you say things that are negative to you about your abilities or what you can accomplish. They say it because they don't want you to be disappointed or hurt. Okay, life is full of disappointments and hurt, and there's an old saying, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And there was a philosopher named Napoleon Hill who was on FDR's cabinet, Franklin Delano Roosevelt's cabinet during the Great Depression. And he studied successful people, and he wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich. It's not just about getting rich, it's about being a success. And he said one of the keys is that once you make up your mind what you want to do, you don't listen to anybody else. His sentence about that says, once you decide on a course of action that you feel like in your heart is right for you, you close your mind against all negative influences. So when I decided I wanted to be DA, everybody's talking about, well, he can't win because he went to rehab for alcohol, right? So I said, I'm not going to accept that. I'm going to make that, they're going to talk about it, so I'm going to make it a positive issue. And I think that my personal belief is that with God's help, I got elected to that simply because I think that I'm in a position to help people with that problem. All right, so you decide what you want to do. That's just an example. So you decide what you want to do and make sure in your heart you feel like it's the right thing. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks or says. Doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want to do. Our number's in the phone book, the DA's, Rapids DA's office. I meant what I said. If y'all have a problem, call me. I mean that. Anything I can do to help. And if I can't help you, we'll find somebody who can. Me and this guy will find somebody who can help.
Absolutely.
Same for your friends, same for anybody y'all see in trouble.
And honestly, depending on the situation, man, if there's somebody, if you're in a situation and need somebody to go and get you, we will go and get you. For real. Because it's safer to get, this is what I, told my children when they were growing up. I would rather go get you and put you in a safe place, and we'll have a conversation tomorrow than to leave you in a place that's unsafe.
I can't think I was just thinking about the Grant Parish Sheriff's Office. I can't think of anybody up there that wouldn't walk in front of a train to help y'all. Same thing with the Rapids Parish Sheriff's Office. Same thing with the Pineville Police. Scott Morrow's daddy was a trooper with my daddy. Okay, those guys mean business. They're there to help y'all. They're not the enemy. We're not.
And that's something I said, some time ago that, we need to reintroduce officer friendly.
Absolutely.
I remember when I was a kid, in our books, in elementary school, the policeman's name was always officer friendly. That's who he was, and, for the most part, the police law enforcement say to protect and to serve. Yeah, protecting you, but serving you as well. They, like me, like you as a matter of fact, we're civil servants. And that's who we are. We're servants of the people we, we're servants of the people we serve.
My parish has bad influences with bad, I'm not going to say like,
Y'all got kind of a tough time
Yeah.
going right now.
Yeah, tough time
With the
going,
police.
and,
Yeah.
but your parish is also getting a bad rap. And not only your parish, your school is getting a bad rap, just because of some things that happened. But I want to make this clear also, that did happen. It happened. It's a given. And a lot of the stuff that's being said about the surroundings or the situations involving what happened are simply not true. And I think the news media does a disservice when they don't present the entire picture.
They
Look,
present what sells newspapers.
Exactly.
What's sensational and presents excitement.
Right.
They don't care about necessarily telling the truth.
And there's no deep, dark secret that, and I have studies, in my office right now where Avoyelles Parish has a higher rate of suicide than the other 7 that I serve. But you know what? There's a great deal more going on positive in Avoyelles Parish than there is negative. And of course, it's no deep, dark secret. That's my home, and so I'm not being biased when I say that, but there's still some good things going on in Avoyelles Parish, as there are in the parishes where you live as well. And so, I just think that, that oftentimes the negative is sensationalized. And, that's what sells newspapers. That's what sells advertisement and so on and so forth. And so if that is presented, and here is the thing too, and I guess the final thing I'm going to say, I mentioned something to somebody one time, a problem with what was going on right here, whatever it was, and I don't remember, but what I said to them is that I am not presenting a problem without a solution. So now, there are some things going on right now to try to find out the how, whys, and wherefores of the elevated number of suicides in Avoyelles Parish. Some things going on right now. But the thing about it is that if you're going to present the problem, then what's your solution? What do you have to say? This is what the problem is, and here are some possible leads to solutions that may help to answer those problems.
It all depends on how you look at things. Avoyelles Parish is a great place to live. I have a lot of friends who live down there. Sometimes over time, you hear people talking about that crime is up. The FBI statistics show that crime is way down in the last 5 years. Violent crime is way down. We hear things like crime. We hear the news media say crime is way up. There's racial strife. There's not any at my house, not in my neighborhood. Not in, you know what I'm saying? I mean, one of the problems with the media is as Chauncey just said, they always focus on the bad. And it could be that let's say over 5 years, it might be that the suicide rate for young people is higher in Rapids Parish than it is in Avoyelles. Just this last year, y'all's number came up. It's just, it may not be a real reason other than the people in just bad circumstances for those individual people that happen to them. So if we don't look on the bright side of things, if we don't have a positive attitude, then we can't show the rest of the world. You can't show the other kids in your school. You can't show the other people you come into contact with. You don't show them the light in you, then you don't make a difference in them.